The battlefield of Kurukshetra stretched endlessly under a sky tinged with molten gold and violet. The sun's rays striking metal armor and shields with fierce brilliance. The air was thick with dust, the smell of sweat and iron mingling with the distant cries of warriors and the rhythmic beat of drums. Arjuna sat rigid in his chariot, his hands gripping Gandiva tightly, but his eyes, for once, looked inward, seeking answers beyond the clamor of battle. Krishna's presence beside him was calm and steady, a pillar of serenity amidst chaos. His blue skin glimmered faintly in the morning light, the peacock feather crown atop his head catching the rays, and his aura shimmered subtly golden blue. He spoke softly but firmly, his voice carrying overth within. Arjuna, most beings in this world are bound by ignorance. They are trapped by desire, illusion, and fleeting pleasures, unable to perceive the eternal reality that pervades all. Arjuna's brow furrowed. Krishna, I have seen the shadows of greed, anger, and pride. I have seen those who worship without understanding and those who act without wisdom. Yet, how can one discern between the ignorant and the truly wise? The battlefield seems full of both, yet all appear human. All suffer the same fear. Krishna turned his gaze toward the horizon, his eyes calm, yet piercing like stars that have seen millennia. The ignorant are like travelers lost in a thick fog. They cannot see the light of truth, nor do they seek it. The wise, however, perceive the supreme even while dwelling in the same world of chaos. They act with understanding, without attachment, and their hearts remain unshaken by temporary gains or losses. Arjuna exhaled, tension coiling and uncoiling within him. And those who are wise, Krishna, how do they maintain their clarity amid destruction, bloodshed, and fear? Krishna's smile was subtle but certain, radiating a quiet power. The wise recognize the eternal behind the transient. They see life's illusions as passing shadows and know the source of all creation. Their knowledge guides every action. And though they live in the world, they remain untouched by its ignorance. The sun climbed higher, casting long, sharp shadows across the battlefield. Arjuna watched as soldiers marched mechanically, their faces set in fear or aggression. He saw men killing for pride, others stealing, some praying frantically for protection or reward. Krishna spoke again, his voice cutting through the noise. Arjuna, the ignorant worship the gods, wealth, fame, and power, mistaking these for ultimate goals. They cling to fleeting pleasures, blinded by illusion. Some live in devotion yet seek only reward. Their hearts, though sincere, remain veiled. Arjuna's gaze followed a soldier bowing before an idol, tears streaming down his dirt-streaked face, muttering prayers for victory. Krishna, he is sincere, isn't he? Can his devotion not save him from ignorance? Krishna's gaze was steady and infinite. Sincerity alone is a spark, Arjuna, but it may not illuminate the entire path. The heart must recognize the source behind the form. Otherwise, devotion becomes a shadow, and ignorance persists, weaving the soul further into illusion. Arjuna's eyes narrowed. So ignorance is not only blindness, but attachment, desire, and misperception. Yes, Krishna confirmed. Ignorance binds the mind to temporary and transient things. The ignorant believe themselves separate, striving, fearing, hoping, yet they cannot see the thread that connects all beings, all forms, and all actions to me, the Supreme. Krishna gestured to the battlefield, and suddenly Arjuna's vision expanded. He saw countless souls in motion, some lost in chaos, some moving mechanically, others acting with wisdom, compassion, and selflessness. The difference was subtle yet profound. Arjuna, Krishna said, the wise are rare. They dwell in the world but are not of it. They act without attachment, understanding that all beings, all forms, and all experiences are expressions of the eternal. They perform duties without being bound, and even in war, they remain anchored to truth. Arjuna observed a commander, helping a wounded soldier even as arrows whisked by, a young soldier sharing water with a fallen enemy, a general restraining anger to save lives. Krishna, Arjuna whispered, their wisdom is not just knowledge, but a way of being. Indeed, Krishna said, knowledge alone is not enough. It is the understanding of the Supreme that distinguishes the wise. They see me in all things, know that all actions are within my will, and yet act with discernment. This awareness grants them calm, strength, and true freedom even in a world consumed by ignorance. The battlefield seemed less chaotic now to Arjuna, not because the violence had diminished, but because he could perceive the invisible threads of wisdom connecting every act of discernment and compassion. Krishna then took Arjuna deeper into vision. He saw a farmer planting seeds not for immediate harvest, but understanding the cycles of nature, praying silently for the earth to nurture his efforts. A merchant shared his earnings with the needy, not for praise, but knowing that generosity reflects the Supreme within him. A sage meditated in the forest, observing the interplay of sun, wind, and water, understanding that all forms arise from the same eternal source. These are the wise, Krishna said, his voice gentle but firm. They know that attachment to transient things leads to bondage. They see the eternal behind the ephemeral. Their devotion, their actions, and their thoughts reflect clarity and understanding. In all, they worship the Supreme, knowingly or unknowingly. Arjuna's eyes widened. Even in small acts, Krishna, even in daily life, there is wisdom if the heart perceives the eternal. Krishna nodded. Yes, Arjuna. Every action can be a bridge from ignorance to knowledge, from shadow to light, if the heart perceives the source behind the form. That is why the wise are exalted. They live in the world, yet remain anchored in truth, unaffected by illusion. The battlefield returned, more vivid than ever. Dust swirled around charging horses, banners flapped violently, and the sound of clashing weapons was deafening. Yet Arjuna's heart felt calm. He realized that every action, every warrior, every motion of life was layered with either ignorance or wisdom. Krishna, Arjuna asked, how can I act without falling into ignorance myself? Even my own desires, fear, and pride tempt me constantly. Krishna's eyes glimmered, serene and commanding. Act, Arjuna, but act with awareness. Recognize that all beings are threads in my creation. Perform duties without attachment to result. Seek knowledge, cultivate wisdom, embrace the eternal behind all forms. In this balance, even action in battle becomes a path of liberation. Arjuna felt the truth of Krishna's words resonate through him. He could feel his pulse steady, his mind sharp, and his heart aligned. He understood that the difference between the ignorant and the wise was not circumstance, but perception and choice. The sun was high now, casting a golden halo over the battlefield. Arjuna lifted Gandiva, his gaze steady, yet calm. The chaos around him, the dust, the shouts, the clanging weapons, no longer rattled his mind. Krishna's aura shimmered faintly, enveloping the chariot in soft golden blue light. Remember, Arjuna, he said, the ignorant wander in darkness, attached to transient things. The wise perceive the eternal in every being, in every action, in every thought. They worship me through understanding, live in the world without being of it, and their hearts are unshaken by fear or desire. Arjuna exhaled, feeling the weight of uncertainty lift. Then wisdom is not just knowing Krishna, it is perceiving, acting rightly, and remaining anchored in the eternal. Yes, Krishna said, his voice resonant and infinite. Knowledge of the Supreme, awareness of the eternal behind all forms, discernment in action. This is the excellence of the wise. Their hearts are free, their minds clear, and their souls anchored in truth. Even amidst chaos, they shine like lamps in the darkness. Arjuna lowered Gandiva slightly, the battlefield around him still ragging, yet inside him, a quiet flame of understanding burned steadily. He could see ignorance and wisdom in every form, every soul, every motion of life. He was ready to act with clarity, courage, and devotion, a warrior and a seeker of the eternal, anchored in the Supreme. And in that realization, Arjuna understood the ultimate truth. The world is a dance of shadow and light, ignorance and wisdom, but the heart that seeks the eternal knows the path and walks it with unwavering resolve. If you like our work, then do like, subscribe, and share the channel.